And welcome to another exciting episode of the In-Game Boss Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy, a.k.a. your in-game boss, a.k.a. your retroactivist, a.k.a. one shot down, second one coming soon. Be ready. Be ready. Yeah, as this episode goes, I think it was about, I want to say it's a week ago now. So I got it. And then I have somewhere, it's like in May is where I get my next one. So
Pfizer or Moderna?
Pfizer.
Pfizer gang right here. Pfizer gang.
Everybody's saying Pfizer is better. Jaron, that's been on previous episodes, he said the same thing. He said that his wife got the other one, and she just was not doing well. And so I forgot what it's called. What's it called?
Moderna.
Yeah. So
Moderna.
Yeah. So I just went with Pfizer. That's what, because I got mine at CVS. So that's where I got it there. I believe that certain places do not keep tabs on you to wait 15 minutes. Because I literally, sitting for 15 minutes is a lot longer than you think it is.
Yeah.
And I noticed, like, I'm sitting for 15 minutes, and those people that sit after me will get up and leave before I get up. And I'm like, okay, so everybody in their minds, without looking at a watch or look at your phone, what does 15 minutes feel like? I feel like that 15 minutes feels like 5 minutes to people. Yeah. Because you're sitting there for so long, you're like, oh my gosh. Okay, I feel good. I'm going to leave. It's been 15 minutes.
They can't keep you there. They can't keep you
No,
there.
they can't.
They want to make sure you don't die. But
yeah, no, they can't. But it's just funny that they tell you, hey, at least wait 15 minutes. And I was just kind of curious. Like, I think I couldn't tell you without looking, how do I feel a time limit that someone tells me? Like, hey, I'll be there in 30 minutes. And I'm sitting here. I have to sit there without looking at my watch or anything like that. Like, how do I know 30 minutes feel like it? If they come and I say, man, it took a long time. It's like, well, I got here like in 10 minutes. It's like, but it felt like 30 minutes. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
That's relativity. That's
right.
Theory of relativity for you.
Right. But the other guy that is having a conversation with me is the second chair, the one and only Jaron.
Yes. AKA the Evil of Aku, AKA the Grumpy Bear, AKA I'm just jamming to non-existent music here. And I finally got my first official haircut in about a year.
Congratulations.
Yes. I'm flexing that second shot vaccine right.
I gotta catch up with you.
No worry. You've never gone this low anyway, so it's no worries.
No, I never had my hair bald. I'm just hoping it'll just be natural. I'll just lose it all or something.
Nah. So what you do is you get your sideburns out nice and long, and then you get your hair cut, and then you go as a black Captain Spaulding. So
I like what you did there. Did there.
Yeah. Shout out to House of 1,000 Corpses.
But yeah. Oh, go on. I'm sorry.
Oh no. I'm with you, fellow Pfizer gang. Got my second shot a couple weeks ago, and Brandy's getting hers. And, at the time of this recording, it will have been Monday the 20-something. So
yeah, and hopefully, once I get my shot, then we can get back into working on new episodes of the Cabinet Session that is on YouTube that you should check out.
Yes, you will check it out. You will.
Yes. But you are listening to the In-Game Boss Podcast. We are a video game podcast. Our goal is, if you're a first listener, our goal is to challenge you on the topics that we talk about, but not just you, us too. We like to challenge ourselves. And don't forget to listen to all our great episodes. Our last two episodes are part 1, part 2. That is called You Change. We talk about part 1 about us as a gamer change. And then part 2 is about the industry and certain publishers that we talk about that have changed. Konami, Nintendo, EA, Sega, all of those, the big bangers. And remember that we are also on YouTube. If you're listening to us, then we're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, don't forget you can listen to us on your listening spots. We have a link tree. And if you're on YouTube, we have our links on the, you know where they are. They're on the top right corner of the page. So definitely
look down in the info too.
Yeah,
look.
And leave a comment. We'll love to hear your thoughts and your concerns about our episodes and what would you like us to talk about and whatnot. But we got to do a little bit of housekeeping. So the last couple of days, maybe by the time you listen to this, about a week, I've been going through some big changes, moving a lot of stuff around due to basically watching my own ass, so I don't get hit later for random things down the line. So,
did you rob up a bank or something?
No. Close. No, I'm just kidding. No, a Podbean. So the thing about is funny about YouTube is when you use a copyrighted song or using something that's copyrighted, they kind of check your background. They check up stuff. They're like, hey, this is claimed by such and such. This is what happens. We either mute you, we get to put ads, we get the money that you make from it, or whatever it is. Which I don't care about that. This show is more of a passion. I'm not really here to make a lot of money out of it. It's just passion to get the word across. But that doesn't apply to audio. Not a lot of places are going to check you on audio, right? So basically, a lot of my old episodes when I first started has probably been used stuff with copyright without permission. And the problem is, Jaron, is I use YouTube free music, but that only applies to YouTube. Wouldn't apply outside of that, right? Yeah. So I had to reconsider that. So basically what I'm saying is all the old episodes that are on Podbean as we speak are gone. They are gone, and now they're slowly moving into YouTube as we speak. Okay. So season 1, 2, 3, and half of 4 will be slowly coming on YouTube. Because
snaps. So yeah, stage 1, 2, 3, and part 4.
Yeah, because of the copyright. And actually, shout out to AC Down. It wasn't until halfway of season 4. It's when I first used his music. So that's where the line starts. But this show, to me personally, as a listener, our goal is really, I tell people when you listen to the show, you should start where we are now and work backwards. I honestly don't recommend people listen to the first episode. Not because there's nothing there. It's just more of, if I'm 500 episodes in, why would you want to start from the beginning of that? I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't, because that's just so tough to achieve. Any show. I don't start number 1 on any of long shows like these. Not IGN, not all those kind of shows. I just go for where it is recent, and then I'll work backwards if I need to. That's just me personally. So
every episode's a good jumping on point anyway.
Yeah, but I'm only speaking for this show. And other shows like When Jeremy Met Nam or the World Gaming Trade Show and all those shows are a little bit different because the goal is you just pick where you want to go and enjoy it. Because there's no up-to-date trending like this show, per se, right? It's not because the only thing that stands out in the show is the news. The news kind of shows you okay, so this is kind of where it's setting. Because based on the news I'm hearing here, right?
Yeah.
So, but the other show...
PlayStation 5 was just a rumor.
Right. But the other shows are more set up to be timeless. So basically, what's happening is, with all that material, all that stuff that is copyrighted is moving to YouTube. Slowly. So, what shows are on there? Well, all the Bond Never Dies, our James Bond podcasts, are all on YouTube. Because when I first started doing that, we use a lot of Bond music from the movies. So, those definitely got to go on YouTube. The next ones, like I said, our original show here, 1 through 4.5 seasons, are going to slowly be on there. You can watch right now up to season 3. Then it jumps off to season 5 where we're talking right now as I start slowly adding those.
5 Alive.
Yeah. All the old episodes of When Jeremy Met Nam, our movie podcast, will all slowly go in there. And just to kind of give you an idea, probably season 1 and season 2 will probably be all on there. And our show is coming back in May as we speak. So, but those will be on Podbean and YouTube as we speak. Now, not all the episodes are gone on there because we use because halfway in the show we stopped using music and we use trailers as our intros for the beginning of our show. So I think we'll be okay for now. And then from there, I want to say that's it. So the shows that are on there is your World Gaming Trade shows. All the episodes are on there. What I do with Brendan from the Game Addict podcast. When Jeremy Met Nam, certain movies. So, the one that you were featuring, Jaron, The Last Dragon, is still on there.
Yeah.
And so then we have I think those are the main three, and then we have new shows that are coming soon that will be on there. So yeah, so that's the update, because I just want to make sure I just swipe the everything clean and just start right now where we're at, because of now I got permission from different artists like Mimo Demo. I got her permission to use our intro for this music.
Big shout out.
So definitely go check out her music, by the way. It's great. So I want to work on working in-house and working with personal people to do the user Androids. Like, shout out to Metroid Mike. He does a lot. He has a lot of music that we use on this show. So shout out to him. He's a great guy. Go listen to his music. Bandcamp, there's a link. So
he's got a hilarious sense of humor too.
He is hilarious. But all the other stuff is not gone. We're just moving to YouTube. So you can go to YouTube and just listen to all those shows there, and you should be just fine.
I got spare moving boxes if you need them, Jeremy.
No, thanks. And so, but I always just want to start fresh, move forward. Plus, one of the things too is it helps out with not going through everything. Let me tell you something, Jaron. I know you've done this. I done this. Everybody has a Podbean account, does it? There's the way they set up their pages. After you see 20 pages, it's hard to keep pressing and loading to go back to the first episode. So I kind of made it a little easier. So there's only 5 pages. So moving all that fat to YouTube is kind of better, because now it's easier for people to go back and listen to the old episodes if they want to easier. The more recent. Yeah, because let me tell you, like, with everything on there, we were looking past 15 pages. Oof. Yeah, so you're gonna and I hate to scroll all the way down to the first one. Then after you listen to that, you want to go next one. You have to start from the beginning and scroll all the way back down to go to the second one. And that's just the way Podbean sets it up, and I don't like it. So if I can make it easier for people to get to our episodes quicker, I'm going to do that. And that means moving our old episodes to YouTube. So that's easier. And plus, they're old. They're museum pieces. So you can go there if you want to go explore those and enjoy
playlists for them and everything.
Yeah. So I have already playlists and everything. So you can enjoy those for what they are. So that's basically housekeeping for that part. And then, of course, we have for this summer, there will be 3 new shows. Actually, 2. 1 is returning, and then 2 new shows that will be announced. 1 for audio and YouTube, hopefully, and then 1 just strictly YouTube. So we will have new shows for the summer that will be coming out for that. And then I have a secret project I'm working on, but that is separate from the network. I'm trying to create that its own thing. So I have nothing to show for that. So no new announcement for that. I can't tell anything. I can't say anything about it. I want to keep it secret until I'm ready to release it and whatnot. But I'm trying to work on a production for that project alone. So, and I'll hopefully have that announced, because if I want to make that something awesome and make money out of that, I want to make it its own thing. I don't want it to be connected to in-game because of copyrights and all that stuff. I want to make sure that's separate on its own with its own thing. So anyways, so Jaron, any questions on that?
Just tell me the day before. I'll be there.
All right. Awesome.
Like, all I know is y'all better watch it.
Yep.
That's all I'm gonna say. And when you watch the podcast, don't get surprised if you're amazed and bamboozled by the wondrous topics we cover. Yeah, you know.
No. So yeah. So hopefully you'll enjoy our today's episode. We got a fun episode for you today. We are going to crack open one of the most biggest popular series of all time, probably the most money-making besides Call of Duty. Like one of the most popular, most money-making games ever. So much that they can just keep porting this game and it makes money. So before that, let's go ahead and do some quick news. Jaron, why don't you take us away on that?
All right. News. So everybody remembers previous episode we mentioned Sony closing the PS3, Vita, and PSP store. Everybody flipped out. Everybody lost their minds. Everybody started buying up digital, and physical games started shooting up in price. Well, Sony either planned this or they actually heard and listened, because Jim Ryan, the CEO, said, "Oops, our bad. We won't be closing the PS3 or Vita stores for the foreseeable future. But to hell with that PSP. It can go to hell. We're still closing it in July." So, yay, bittersweet victory. I know for a fact that I spent a little bit more than I probably should have, but I need to pull the trigger on several of those RPGs that are going to be hard to find. So there you go. Also, as of this recording, as of listening to this recording, Mortal Kombat, the 2021 version of the movie, has been released in theaters and on HBO Max. I saw it. I will reserve my opinions for after Jeremy sees it, and maybe I'll get to listen to his opinions when he and Nam talk about it on one of their editions of Jeremy and Nam get together and do a movie podcast.
Yes. So
the look on your face was cracking me up. You're like,
oh, really? Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to give you a weird face.
Yeah.
No. I honestly thought we were going to talk about the closure for a little bit, and then we're going to go into Mortal Kombat. But you just knocked both of them out of the park there.
Oh, well, no. We can rewind to the closure. It's all good.
Well, let me go ahead and get the Mortal Kombat out of the way. We will do a review of the Mortal Kombat one. It's one of our bonus episodes in May. We'll have announcements coming soon about that. As Nam, when Jeremy Met Nam, the movie podcast will be returning back in May. We'll have promos to put out soon, so be ready for that. We come back on May 5th. So, and we have a double whammy for both weeks, including, he mentioned Mortal Kombat. We are doing a review of the old one and the new one, and we'll be bringing them out on the same day, so you can kind of hear both of them and at the same time and whatnot. So, So I'm excited to watch Mortal Kombat, because after this, that's when my HBO Max will expire. Nam's going to go to theaters to go watch it, so it'll be kind of cool to see his point of view in the theater feel. And I pay for HBO Max, so I'm going to watch it on HBO Max. Yeah, and he's using my account. He's using my account, so like, you do whatever you gotta do, but I pay for it. I'm going to watch it there. That's where I watched the Snyder Cut. That's why I watched the Kong and Godzilla. Yep. I'm going to do that. So
get your Rick and Morty on. It's all good.
Yeah. Actually, funny. I'm keeping my Hulu because Rick and Morty's still on there too, and all the other crap. Anyways, so the PSP. You mentioned though if it's a hoax or they really decided and backed out. I wanted to hear what you think it is personally. Well,
here's the thing. Companies aren't. Well, they're stupid, but they're not that stupid. Mm-hmm. Sony, so Jim Ryan has been on record before of saying, regarding backwards compatibility and supporting previous generations, it's like, ew, why would anybody want to play these old games? He used Gran Turismo as an example. The thing is, I'm not, where else am I going to go to play a game like Tomba? You're not, I can only play it on the PlayStation 1 or the 2 and some 3s. Where am I going to go to play, Castlevania Symphony of the Night? I could play it on 3, the arcade, the DLC, or not DLC, the downloadable version, or they've released the Requiem on the modern consoles. But there are a lot of different games that you can only play on the older consoles, and they're lost in the annals of time. Mega Man Legends 1 and 2, The Misadventures of Tron Bonne. I'm not saying those are great games, but if you want to play it, you have to either find the physical copy, which, you got to be richer than the kings of Saudi Arabia, or you have to emulate it, or you have to have the downloadable content, or not downloadable content, the digital. Mm-hmm. So the fact that Sony knows this, but Jim Ryan said what he said, so I think they were going to close the store. But they were just kind of letting that rumor leak, because it was like a week or two before Sony confirmed it. Mm-hmm. So someone leaked that out there. I think they leaked it out by design just so they could gauge people's reactions. And they gauged the reaction, and they got tweeted at and all that other stuff. And they said, hey, we hear you. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it for this and this. Thanks. So it's a win-win. They get to make people happy, and they get to make people feel like they're heard. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. Yeah. I bought Vin Ribbon. Because of
I've never even heard of it.
You never heard of Vin Ribbon? So the last CEO before Jim Ryan's, People's Champ. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. I just drew a blank of what his name is. But everybody, something Ryan, I think. Not Jim. No, that's Jim. That's Jim Ryan. Anyways, you look it up what his name is, so I can feel dumb in a second. So the last CEO, he had an E3 and he was talking about Vid Ribbon, this game. It was this Japanese game, and he was talking about that it wasn't afraid to go against the tide. It wasn't a popular game. It didn't win. It didn't make multi-million dollars or anything like that. But Sony took a chance and accept and make that game happen. And he went on the quote and said that this is what we do because at the end of the day, it's all about the games, right?
Yeah. You're either talking about Sean Layden
That's
or
who it
Jack
is. Yeah.
Tretton.
Ooh. Is it
Sean Layden came after Jack Tretton. He was
yeah, Sean Layden then. Sean Layden.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, please put it down in the comments. But Sean Layden, yeah. Like I said, Sony's People Champ. People love that guy. He knew he was a good talker. And yeah, a lot of people really retweeted that a lot. And I wanted to go listen to it. I was like, huh. And I was like, where can I get a copy of this Vin Ribbon? And it's only on PS3. It's a classic, but it's not a classic, right? You're not going to find it in the PS1 section. It is a PS1 game. It's just a re-release special edition. Kind of like Beyond Good and Evil. That is a PS2 game, I want to say. Yeah, it is. Yeah, PS2, GameCube. But they did an HD edition of that, right? And it's just that edition. So, Vib Ribbon is a rhythm game. It's a story about this scribble character. So I wanted to give it a try. It was only like $5.99, so I bought it because I just kind of wanted to see was that game worth it at the time that he was quoting. So I want to play it. It's one of those things too about you don't know what you have until it's gone method, and that's what it was for this. Yeah. And so I was looking at the shop, and I was looking at games like, okay, realistically, do I think I'm really buying this game just for the hell of it, or am I really going to play? I was looking at Legends of Dragoon. I'm like, am I really going to make my time to play this game? Do I really care about buying this? And at the time, I said no. And I probably say no now. And I think that there is some games on there I do want to pick up, like some of the Shin Megami Tensei games, which I already have the Digital Devil Saga, but I might get the Devil Summoners games, the PS2 ones and all that. But mainly, you would just go. I think the most important ones are the RPGs because those are the rarest ones, right? Not so much the action games. So I will pick up some more now because just because they're not closing it, they still didn't put a time limit when they're going to close it. So yeah. So it just won't be July.
Foreseeable future.
Yeah. So that could be in 2022. I don't know. So I'm going to try to pick up the ones I kind of care about and try to make room on my PS3. Which, by the way, I had to use a cord, so everything's fine now. So, yeah, my wireless just doesn't work on that thing anymore. So I use a cord. Everything's fine. So I got
still going.
Yeah. So I get to go through the struggle of the store and slowly get it.
At least the store moves a little bit faster on.
It froze my console one time, so I disagree with that. So,
I hope they reinstate being able to go through the web on a browser because that would be so much better.
Yeah. So I do want to pick up some Suikoden because you know what? Funny thing. So Suikoden, you can buy 1 and 2 on PS1 on there. You can buy the fourth one, but you can buy the third one. But the third one is not as a PS2 or a PS2 emulator style. It's its own edition. So you have to look up Suikoden 3 to find that one. It's not going to be in the PS2 category.
You're right, because I didn't find it in the PS2.
Yeah.
I just wanted to find it because it was more like this.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with Vid Ribbon. So, like, there is games on there that you don't think they're on there. They're on there. They're just not in the obvious categories. It is a PS2 game, but you're not going to find a PS2 game. It's just a special edition that they did for it. So don't be afraid to look up certain games because they might just make a special edition of that. It's just not under the PS2 or PS1 category, like Beyond Good and Evil, you know. So I recommend looking at. I might pick up Suikoden 3. Just get the whole Suikoden family on there because I can get Suikoden 4. So, and just have those in the collection.
I heard 1 through 3, maybe 4 is pretty much all you really need. But I have 1. I have the physical of 1. I got the digital of 2, 3, and I think 4. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
And I want to pick up Legend 2 for better or for worse. Just want to pick up Legend. I think I'm fine without the Tron one, but I'll see when I get to that point.
I mean, that's one of those if you got to spare like $8 to $10 laying around.
Yeah.
Go ahead and pick it up. Because I mean, the only reason I'm down for it is because unless I want to go through the pain of trying to emulate it, physical is out of the question. I'm not spending $200-$300 for that.
Right.
Might as well just pay like $8 to $10. Pow, there you go. It's not even a gig.
Yeah. Legacy of Kain. Definitely want to pick that one up.
Oh man, I need to pick that back up. I was playing it a little bit. I could see the appeal, but I could also see how it could.
Well, it's day and night, right? From there to Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver set the table of this is what the rest of the series is going to be.
Yeah, it is night and day. Like
yeah.
Legacy of Kain and Soul Reaver, night, and Blood Omen and Soul Reaver, night and day.
Yeah.
Like, it's like night and day on Mercury.
Right. But Wild Guns, which I forgot that's a Sony property.
Wild Arms?
Wild Arms, I'm sorry. Wild Arms.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Wild Arms. I said Wild Guns. I'm sorry. Wild Arms. Yeah. That's a series that I feel like is underused. It kind of just got thrown to the side because they didn't know what to do with it.
They did like what, 3 or 4 of those?
Yeah, and then there was some on the PSP. So
yeah. I have 1 and 2. I think I have 1 digitally. I didn't pick up 2. I liked what they were doing on 1.
Yeah, I kind of wish they had the PS2 edition where they like remade it. But
I can't remember the name, but I know what you're talking about.
It's Wild Arms like AF, I want to say, or something.
Wild Arms as.
Yeah, so because you can only get Wild Arms 3 on the PS4, which I already have. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of this could go away if Sony would just say, "Hey, you know what? We've been working on stuff in the background, and we know that you should never forget about the past. Guess what? The store, your downloads on the store or whatever like that are now we're bringing it up to the PS5.
If they would just do a Game Pass style for retro gaming, that would just solve everybody's problems.
Yeah, I still like the idea of I bought this crap on the Vita and the PS3, bump this shit up to the PS5.
That's fine. That's fine, but I'm just saying it's better than the Now way because I don't want to stream a classic game.
Yeah.
But at least I can download it, or I can download it into my console and I can enjoy for what it is and the Game Pass per se. So I'm just saying, like, if you want to make it work somehow and not have to ROM it up every time and keep porting it over and over again, you can make this its own thing. But anyways,
I mean, the fact that Microsoft you can play games on that you bought on Xbox Live Arcade back in 2007.
Yeah.
And you can play it on your Series X.
You know what's funny? There's only one game I can think of that's been on PS3 and PS4 that you can buy double of, and that is The Warriors.
Yeah. I was gonna say GTA 5, but
true. But I meant in the retro aspect, I guess.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, at this point, technically, PS3 is going to be retro.
Yeah, actually, not take it back. I think all Rockstar games now. I think all the GTAs are on the PS4. Yeah, as like a collection together or something like that.
I don't think it's a collection together. But you can just get them. Like you can get Bully on PS4.
That's true.
Yeah. But I will say, getting any of the Rockstar games, it's still a bold move by Rockstar to release GTA 5 on the 3. On the 4, and then put a teaser. It's coming to 5.
Yeah,
like You release the same damn game on 3 different generations.
Skyrim will be up there too. So
yeah, I mean, hell, I'll go tell my toaster to play Skyrim.
Yeah.
You know.
And with that being said, let's talk about Rockstar. Let's talk about one of the most popular franchises out there. Up there, probably, I would say, okay, I don't know. Like, it's funny. GTA makes so much money that I would say, well, let me ask you this. Do you think it matches multiple Call of Duty games to a GTA money amount? Or do you think GTA games are enough to hold their own amount of money as a GTA game solely? And if that's the case, then Call of Duty makes way more money than the Grand Theft Auto series. But there's a lot more Call of Duties. So
yeah, there's a Call of Duty every year, pretty much. I mean, Activision has 3 development studios that they rotate to make those Call of Duty games, churn them out year after year. I mean, I would have to look up the precise numbers, but I would say as far as bang for your buck, it's going to be GTA.
I feel
millions go into it, but
I feel like that every year we get a GTA, I mean, a Call of Duty game, you know, it makes money for that year. But I feel like GTA, it makes a lot of money until the next one comes out. It still makes it to the top 10. Like, you know,
how many people bought GTA San Andreas? Not counting Vice City, not counting 3, San Andreas.
Yeah. So,
you know,
Grand Theft Auto was definitely a series that definitely had a couple of missteps trying to find its footing, you know, from the top down to the 2D until we hit 3 that kind of hit that, you know, the 3D realm. But you can tell from the beginning that they were on to something. They just didn't know what to do with it yet. They were just kind of testing the water of, like, you know, how far can we push a game, you know, with the action of violence. Because let's be honest here, like, at the time, it was a very violent game for what it is. You know, you could basically do anything you want to a certain point, right, before you get killed by cops or something like that. But
yeah, it changed the zeitgeist in media, in modern media.
Yeah, and then on top of that, it ends up becoming a sandbox of whatever you think you can do, you can do. You want to fly a plane? You want to rob a bank? Do you want to own a garage with millions of cars? You want to own buildings? You know, like, you're almost like living your life to try to be the top dog of the king of the world in your own way. Do you want to go on a massive shoot marathon and kill everybody? Sure. You want to crash as many cars you want everybody? Sure. You know, you want to raise your star up to 9 and see how long you can survive? Sure. It's almost so much that you forget Grand Theft Auto does have a story and a game and missions.
And they're good, and it's a good story. It's not even a crap story. It's actually a good, engaging, well-written story.
I would say at the beginning it became more of a fetch, do this and this, and I kind of threw the story out the window. It wasn't until, like, I think Vice City and beyond that is where I feel like they kind of start pushing the characters a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because your main character was always been in and out. Before okay, let me take that back. I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I think before San Andreas, I believe your character was a silenced protagonist.
He was a talker in Vice City. Tommy
he was
said he was
okay.
A talker in Vice City. So it was 3 and back.
Okay, yeah, that you had the silent protagonist. It wasn't until they added a character personality where I think they started kind of caring a little bit more what you're doing and whatnot. True story. I have never been in a Grand Theft Auto game, and I feel like that no one should be ashamed for never being in a Grand Theft Auto game, because I think you're missing the point of Grand Theft Auto. So, but at the same time, I haven't played every Grand Theft Auto game, and I think it's because it does for people. Sometimes you play one, you play them all kind of feel, but it's still enjoyable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you could say that about a lot of different games. Like Call of Duty, you play one, you play them all.
True. But I guess for for Grand Theft Auto, though, it kind of the only thing it changes is really the story, right?
And the locale, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess the Call of Duty, at least, like, guns have changed. The mechanics kind of change a little bit. For better, for worse, it still changes. There's different modes.
the movie star cameo that plays the good or bad guy.
Yeah, but with Grand Theft Auto, it's hard to change something when you can do anything you want. Like, what can you do? Go beyond doing anything you want. All you can do is just make a good story, and how you can turn that around, and how to make the characters more interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
you increase the interactivity. I mean, GTA 5. Who was doing yoga? You're doing yoga in GTA 5. Going to therapy sessions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that, to me, at least in my opinion, that was one of the biggest appeals of GTA 5 over GTA 4 even. GTA 4 had a lot of activities that you could do. GTA 5 ramped it up with just how much you could interact with the city around you.
But here's two things I want people to understand about GTA and Rockstar. First of all, kudos to Rockstar, because I know Rockstar has a couple of misses, but it's very small misses that you forget that they exist misses, like State of Emergency. Like, it's not until someone brings it up that it's like, oh yeah, they made that, didn't they?
Table tennis. I wanted to like State of Emergency, but it was way too repetitive.
Yeah. Table tennis. Yeah. Exactly.
Table tennis was them just testing their engine for GTA 4.
Yeah. So the one thing you have to get Rockstar for is they are really good at pushing the limit of how much they can do as a game itself, right? The mass, the run, everything you can do and running smoothly. Like, it's a reason why we don't get one. We almost get one, maybe two if we're lucky, a console generation.
Yeah. After the PS2, it was basically one, maybe some DLC, a console generation. Because PS2 had 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. That's
true. True. But I think also on top of that, the limitation of how much they can do with the PS2. Because you can compare to 4 and 5, they're probably all those, like 3, Vice City, and San Andreas probably all together. It's probably about the same equivalent as maybe 4 and 5. Like size, right?
Size of the map and where you go.
Just the mass, because of the capability of what the consoles have gone, where we're at right now.
Well, yeah, they all the PlayStation 2 games all use the same engine.
Yes.
So,
yeah, and just the world building and how much they can push without like running out of RAM or whatever the term is. I'm not good at names of this crap, but just enough room of how much they can put into this game, right? But as the consoles get more powerful, now that expands more and more and more. 5 is probably the largest, and now we're at this generation. We're in the next generation of like how far it can go. So Rockstar has always been this benchmark of what is GTA going to do with this material, like with this much power. How big is this world going to be now? Like what can they do? What is their imagination going to do with that? And how massive it's going to be, and that's it kind of made me start thinking about that. It's like what can they do to make this world so big that it's going to feel like, oh, it's literally going to take you an hour to get to the other side of town, literally an hour, kind of feel, because I think that Red Dead being the last one they did kind of showed us a little bit of like, look what we can do now with the next gen. Look what we can do. And that's going to sell gangbusters on top of porting 5 on there. But 6 is just going to be so massive. And I think that's that's the second thing about it. Second thing is just appealing. Because everybody has done open cities before, but no one does it like Rockstar. No one does it like Grand Theft Auto.
Saints Row was close.
They were close. 2
and 3. 2 and 3.
Yeah. They were close. But Grand Theft Auto wants to be known of we're the city builders.
Yeah.
We do the building.
There's a reason that you have games that are called blank clones or blank killers. I mean, you have your Doom clones, your Quake clones, your GTA clones. Mm-hmm. That's because the game has set the benchmark so high that anything else that comes after it is going to be compared to it, no matter what you do.
Yep.
So yeah, it's I will say, for all the rumors we've heard about GTA 6, Rockstar set a hell of a bar for itself.
Yeah. And for better, for worse, it's at the point where it's going to make buku money regardless. And they have time to patch up and fix stuff now, all that stuff as they go. Because let's be honest here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but honestly, I don't think Grand Theft Auto ever came out with a game that was bad on arrival, where they have to patch stuff later. I think it runs pretty damn smooth at the very beginning, and then maybe they'll fix out some kinks. But it was very playable.
Yeah, it's pretty polished.
Yeah,
they don't send out a half crapped turd.
Yeah, so
that's one thing that Rockstar has been. At least they have for their reputation. You know, they when they send out a product, it is finished.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Can't say that much about their online offering.
Yeah, that's a different story. That's a different story.
That's different. But now, with the support they're having for GTA Online, I mean, I got buds that are still playing it years later.
Yes. Yeah,
so
because no one else is doing it like them. And I think some people are afraid. Because no matter how much they try, like you said, they're going to get compared to it, and they're not going to try to get the respect or their amount that they deserve for trying to do that. It's hard. It's hard to be under the shadow of such a Triumph game and not being respected. Like Saint Row had to do something different to get itself out of that spotlight, right?
Yeah, they went over the top.
Yeah, by doing more gang-related stuff and being more I guess more mature. Outrageous. More mature. Okay. And GTA is mature too, but they are like mature. Like they are like adult, like mature. Like, yeah. So
around Saints Row 3, it started getting a little Beavis and Butthead.
It
mature,
did. It's 4 when you became the president and you're fighting aliens. It was ridiculous.
It was a reused 3. Don't get me started on 4. I wanted to like 4, but don't get me started.
Yeah. So and but yeah. So what do we know about 6? We know it's going to be a big city. We know that it's probably going to take place in the United States because they normally don't go outside of that. But things can change. I hope it change. I hope that GTA pulls a 180 on us. Like, I didn't see that coming. You know, I want to see what creativity they can do for the next thing. So before we get into that part, let's talk about just a little bit of fun little facts about the GTA series. So for people that probably don't know, GTA only has 7 games in the main series. So through the whole generation of right now, they're working on the 8th game that's probably in their main series, right? Yeah. They only have 4 expansions. 2 of those were from the GTA 1. From London 1969 and 1961. And then the other ones were from 4. The Ballad of Gay Tony, and I forgot what the other one's called.
Lost in the Damned.
Yes. Yeah.
And, yeah.
And then they have 4 handhelds. So, you can tell that with the handhelds, they're basically kind of like, you know, Vice City stories, Liberty stories. These are like just like mini stories that's set in that same universe. So
yeah. I liked Vice City stories or Liberty City stories that explained why motorcycles became banned in GTA 3 and stuff. It was cute.
Yeah, and those are like on your. There was only one Grand Theft Auto on your GBA, but then there was a couple on mainly the PSP had most of them, with only one DS game that later came on the PSP later, and that's of Chinatown Wars. So. But we are not going to talk about what mechanics or what gameplay that we want to see in GTA because we already know what that is. The most exciting thing we know about GTA and any game of Grand Theft Auto is where is the location going to be. That's the most exciting part, right? I think to me is where is this going to be set in? Because once we know what the setting, then our brains start going crazy of like, oh, are they going to do this? Are they going to do this in this city? Are they going to do this? Based on where it's going to go. Like, for instance,
they kind of lampoon wherever they set the location.
Right. Like, for example, San Andreas, you know, it's going to be set kind of more in the hood. So what can you do stuff that's like in the hood? You know, people riding bicycles. You know, there's gang banging, drive-bys, all this kind of stuff. So, like, the idea is, where's that setting going to be, and what's the theme, and then we let our ideas just start evolving. So today's episode, we're going to talk about locations that we would love to see Grand Theft Auto go into. And I'm pretty sure there's plenty of articles out there that people have their wishes of where GTA should go next on their next setting. So I want to do it for our episode.
It's us.
Yeah. So I want to talk about us, and we're just going to just have an open discussion about, you know, what our imagination would be for that, and just see what could work for our ideas that we have. So, and before we even start that, I want to talk about all the cities that they have done. So we kind of just knock it off the list for our listeners that are like, well, they could have done this. I'm like, well, they already did that place. So let's go ahead and just knock those out. So you have Liberty City. That's basically New York City to them, because they just basically use different names for the main cities. So, and you know, GTA 1, GTA 3, and GTA 4 all took place in Liberty City. And so, then you have San Andreas, which now San Andreas is a bit confusing because it can be San Francisco for some people, but also too, they consider San Andreas a state. So they said it's a mixture of Nevada and California. So, and
the different areas like San Fierro, Los Santos, and Fortuna City.
Yes, because the reason I brought that up is because of the fact that GTA 5 also takes place in San Andreas, but by a different name. So this is the first state that is mentioned in the GTA series per se. And then you could say that the game itself, like GTA San Andreas, can be San Francisco, and then maybe GTA 5 could have been I don't know, somewhere else.
GTA 5 was more LA, because Los Santos and Vinewood, and then you had the sticks in Blaine County. So it was like Los Angeles, Hollywood, Bakersfield, or whatever. Okay.
And then you have Vice City. That's Miami.
Yeah.
So you have Miami. So now I have Chinatown Wars. I think they said that it does take place in Liberty City, I want to say. And I think I wrote this wrong on my notes, but I think it does take place because it's Chinatown. But then again, I might have to look it up because it might be San Andreas, because it might be talking about Chinatown and San Francisco too. So anyways.
Yeah, they both have big Chinatowns.
So. Yeah, so the next one is Anywhere USA. Now, this is the only one that GTA 2 is set in the future. So if you had to do a timeline, GTA 2 is the furthest one in the story of the future. You know, not too far in the future. Like, it's not like hover cars or anything like that. It's just more of like, I don't know. What would you think? What movie reference would you say is close enough to like?
Well, not Minority Report, that's for sure.
No.
Maybe Demolition Man?
Yeah, let's go with Demolition Man. That's good enough, you know. But that's GTA 2. And then we have London, but that's basically expansion of GTA 1.
Yeah, that came out. That was like 1960s London.
Yeah. So you basically, if you kind of think about it, they Grand Theft Auto has aimed for the biggest, most popular cities that in America, right? The most popular ones, you know, LA, San Francisco, New York. Those are your most one of the top popular places that they did. So what does that leave for us? Well, there's still some places they can still do. The question is, what can they do with that? So we picked a couple, 2 or 3, and let's just kind of have an open discussion about it and just see where the story goes. So, Jaron, how about we go first off of your list, because you mentioned international. So what are you thinking over there?
Well, so they kind of touched on it a little bit in GTA, I think 2, because GTA 1 or 2, because depending on like when you finish the missions in an area, it takes you to a new area where you have.
It's almost like level setting, right?
Yeah, it was like North Yankton, which they kind of mentioned again in GTA 5, and places like that. So I'm thinking go international again, and I just threw out kind of like a span multiple locations across the world, like the old GTAs, but you could actually eventually free travel to them. For example, a Tokyo-style metropolis to Vice City, And I know we weren't going to go into mechanics, but the reason I was saying international is because you could have maybe different laws, varieties of characters and activities and missions. You could really, it would allow you to have tone changes, subtle tone changes.
So are you saying that you think with the new consoles that they can do 2 big cities that are separate like that?
I think they could. I think they definitely could do 2 big cities. Not only do 2 big cities, but have a version of travel between them, because you already saw in the latter PS2 GTA games, and then GTA 4, and then definitely GTA 5, flying the planes became a little bit more seamless, or flying aircraft became a little bit more seamless. You could travel. So if they could just take that to the next step, and it's like, all right, I did what I could in this mission. This next mission hook says I have to go over here, I'm going to go do that, and fly. Let's say you're actually in the air for like maybe a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes at most, transition. And then you actually make your landing. You can have all sorts of stuff take place in between the cities. Maybe you get hijacked, or someone tries to shoot you down, other criminal elements, whatever. So I would like to see if they could pull that off. They would have to be a little careful, because it's very easy and actually fun to lampoon the foibles, the mistakes of American society and American popular culture. But then when you start adding other countries and other nations into it, it gets a little trickier, because you don't want to piss off the wrong people. So, but I think if anyone could do it, Rockstar could.
Okay.
So that's my first one.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, because I had an idea to do Japan, but I don't know how they would go with it, and just learning that culture, because I was thinking like, Yakuza would be kind of cool in that aspect. Not the Cop Sega, but Yakuza for that would be kind of cool.
If you stay to a couple of cities, like do a Tokyo and Osaka related kind of analog, because there's a train ride between Tokyo and Osaka, and in between, if you're driving or whatever, if you're trying to drive or go through the mountains, you can have your traditional culture in between, the major metropolis areas. So it could work, but you would definitely have to get your research team on point.
So one of the places I think is they can probably go back to San Andreas if they want to again, and do a Las Vegas, maybe call it like Neon City, because it's like very neon at night and whatnot. I always thought they were going to do a Sin City kind of style, like Vegas World.
Yeah,
gambling.
Los Fortuna was fun. You were only there for a little bit in San Andreas.
Yeah, so maybe they can stay on that one. Because I'm surprised they just never made it dedicated to that, and just see what the casino life would be like. My only worry is that what do you do outside of that, because it's all desert. So I don't know what they can do with that. So they have to really make it really something special there. Like maybe like go to magic shows, like really push like what they can really do. It almost feels like it could be. It feels like it could be an expansion than more of a game itself.
Yeah.
So I could accept that if they want to do something later on that is expansion to GTA 5 or something like that. I think it'd be cool. So with that, then I think with Vice City doing so well, and I think it's a lot of people's favorite. I think that's the game that also introduced a lot of people of 80s in general and music.
Yeah.
So I want a 70s style. Like, let's go back for the 70s. Let's do one like either in Liberty City or Chicago or something like that. But like 70s, old 70s style, afros, rocking it, Let's see what
car chases.
Yeah, let's see what the 70s would be cool as, just to see what they would do that, because I heard 70s is pretty crimey,
It was like 70s New York and 70s Chicago. The stories.
Yeah.
You think the whole mafia stuff in the 90s. Oh, try 70s New York and 70s Chicago. That'd be ratcheted up to 100.
Yeah, you can have like mafia versus gangs, battles and stuff like that. You know, what character do you want to side with and everything like that. You know, I honestly was thinking of African American for this role, you know, to really fit the bill. Go to disco clubs, you know, have their own Studio 54 in that universe and whatnot. You know, you were born in the streets and then you tried, you know, work your way up and just see what kind of like crazy stuff you can do with that. And just the music itself will be amazing what they can do with that.
Yeah, I mean, if they do the multiple characters like they did for GTA 5, which I thought was awesome, they did that very well. The scuttlebutt is GTA 6 will have like its first female protagonist.
Is that a rumor or is that true?
Last I heard, it was kind of leaning towards true than rumor, but okay. I'll have to double check.
Because I'm glad you brought that up. But I'm going to talk about that later. But I'm glad you brought that up. But either way, I don't care. But I think a 70s style will be kind of cool based on that. Because I think also too with Vice City, you knew the theme was Scarface, basically. So 70
marketing.
So 70s, I don't know what they would base on what to make that work. And I'm pretty sure they want to use the same method as like what popular 70 movies could they base on? Like, you know, maybe like Superfly, you know, I don't think
French
they could do,
Connection.
You know, Dolomite, you know, those kind of stuff, Shaft. Like what can they do with kind of that universe with the 70s? Especially I think it'd just be cool with the costumes you can buy and the get-ups you can get. You know, just seeing, and also just seeing the world, like, you know, seeing pimps walk around, you know, like just see all these crazy I think that's why I want the 70s. It's just the fashion, just to see, because 70s fashion is nuts, you know, and I kind of just want to see what the world would do like with fashion and see how people walk, you know, around this city.
Depending on the year, you could still talk about, you know, that foreign war that's not popular anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could put all sorts of little messages in there.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I know that GTA shouldn't do this. I think they try to stay away from, like, political stuff. But part of me kind of wants to see how that world is. Like, the discrimination of, like, you know, as a black person walking around, how white people look at you. Now, I'm not saying dedicated to, like, Black Panther power or anything like that. I'm just saying more of, like, you know, like when you walk into a bar and, you know, white people look at you weird, like, what are you doing in here? You know, and then, you know, a fight could break out or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was still socially acceptable. There's like 3, 4, 5 different terms for a black person back in the 70s. They were all socially acceptable. I won't repeat them. You can look it up yourself.
Yes.
But there's all sorts of stuff there. I mean, Rockstar never got overtly political, but all their games had little subtle.
It does.
Little subtle jabs. If you paid attention, it's like, I see what you're doing.
And I'll tell you this, and if I'm wrong, say I'm wrong, but I think they should hold back and just show us, like, hey, this is the way the 70s work. Because when they did San Andreas, they basically showed what the world's like as gangster in the streets. I'm pretty sure the N-word dropped many times in San Andreas, if I'm correct.
And GTA 5, if you were playing as Franklin.
Yeah, so they're not scared for those kind of language to be in this show. In this game. I think people are already mentally prepared of going to, it's like, GTA's not going to hold back. You know, they're going to bring us to this world.
But I think if they do that, Rockstar definitely needs to expand a lot of their writers and research, because otherwise, unless they're going for the clearly blaxploitation, if they do any form of blaxploitation, you better get some of the writers that worked on Black Dynamite, because they actually captured it, you know, hilariously. Yeah,
I think the same way they did with San Andreas, they got to get people in there that know that particular world. So basically, I'm saying, like, you got to definitely get more African Americans to kind of tell their stories. And I think that's what they do sometimes. I think they actually listen to people's stories, and that's what they need to do. If they can do missions based on true stories that happen to people, and you do that in the mission, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. Yeah. That'd be awesome to hear stories like people that were in jail and the stuff they did in the 70s, and you put that as a mission in the story. Like, this guy did this. That'd be awesome.
I mean, you have like movies like American Gangster and stuff like that. You can have heroin smuggling schemes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could have, like you were saying, conflict between mafia gangs and just other ethnic gangs. You know,
Yeah.
slice of whatever pie. And if you do multiple protagonists, there you go. You have multiple protagonists. You have a female protagonist, a black woman, and some Italian guy, and then some whatever. You could do anything.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, the key is the writing has to be clever,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to be funny, because as soon as you start getting too on the nose with stuff, then you got all sorts of people who would like nothing more than to hop on Twitter and be right.
Yeah.
Not look for the truth, be right.
Yeah. So I think that we need another one of those. We haven't had another decade theme game in a long time, and I feel like 70s is the perfect one. Because I thought about 60s, and I thought about I was like, but I'm at the same time, I'm like, there's nothing to do in those times to me. Further back.
There's stuff, but the 60s.
But it has no flair, I guess. Like 60s compared to 70s and 80s. Like 70s and 80s have big flares. Like you can tell, like, that's 70s. But 60s feel like that it's kind of a continuation of 50s. And 50s feel like a continuation of 40s. But 70s is like 70s. 80s was 80s. 90s was 90s. 2000s like, it feels like 10. They feel like 2010 and 20 feels like expansion of the 2000s.
I don't know. I mean, you could probably, the difference between the 90s, like the 90s in and of itself was split up. Like early 90s felt like late 80s.
True.
Late 90s felt like something else because computers were more prevalent. And then 97 to 2000 and I would say 2007 or so, all kind of felt very similar because cell phones weren't prevalent. Like they weren't the necessity they were until 2011.
Mm.
So
I tell people that the really big changes for our generation is technology. That's really the big change. We've seen technology grow, but back then I feel like what changes was definitely the fashion and the themes.
Yeah. The fashion, the cars.
Yeah. And the problem is that in our generation, we're reverting back to those kind of stuff. Like, 80s is slowly coming back in a different way. 90s is coming back in a different way. 70s is kind of coming back in a different way. We don't have a 2000, like, we're not wearing space age uniforms with, like, saucers as hats and we're, like the Jetsons. We're not wearing wardrobes like those.
We would be in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, we're not wearing ridiculous stuff that they predict the future was going to look like for us, right? So we're just normal. So back to what I was saying is 70s just has its own thing with the fashion and the music and where it was going as 80s. So I would love to see what they would do with 70s. I don't even care if it's like a small expansion of that. Like a 70s style Grand Theft Auto would be so cool to see what they could do with that. So
yeah. I mean, and you're right with the music. There's so much. I mean, you got Jimi Hendrix. You got
Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, you got Marvin Gaye. You got George Clinton.
Yes.
You got the Parliament and Mothership Connection. You have a ton of different music styles. Not to mention a lot of musicians today who would love to try their hand at 70s style funk or rock and try and make like original beats and original songs. So between some of the technology that you could kind of throw out there, I mean, hell, there was some cool stuff in James Bond movies that came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
That's like, oh man, they could make that, couldn't they? Let's have it. You still have your semi-automatic guns, your automatic, your rifles. You have all of that stuff. You have all the necessities you need for a GTA game.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah.
Okay. So it looks like on your list here you put up Austin or Southern Metropolis like Atlanta. So it's funny because Atlanta's been in a lot of talks lately. We're not going to talk about what's going on there, but I'm just saying in general, Atlanta's been on the headlines a lot lately. So why for you, why this pick?
Well, so it's a mix. So part of it was brief conversation I had with Brandy, my fiance. She was telling me about. She's like, yeah, I'd love to see like Austin or Houston or something in the South. You know, get a lot of those meth heads. You know, she kind of said being cheeky. I was like, yeah, meth's everywhere though, but it's really in the South. I think having some type of, if you do something in the South, you get a mishmash of cultures. Like Texas it does have a cross section of various cultures, various ideologies and thinking. Same with Atlanta. Atlanta, up until recent developments, was considered the almost like the East Coast Hollywood, because so many shows and movies were being made out there.
Shout out to Tyler Perry. He have a studio out there? Doesn't he have a Black Hollywood out there?
Tyler Perry's got a multi-million-dollar setup out there that he's just been building silently, which is smart. But I mean, just how many movies, Marvel movies or otherwise, that if you watch the end of the credits, it says "Made in Georgia" and has that little Georgia Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
How many? So you have that. You have the kind of the frou-frou or the elite. That you can do. You can have the old Southern style. Imagine having a hilarious mission where you have to escort some debutante and she has to act prim and proper, but she's really a wild child, and you get into a car chase and she's like, yeah, and cussing up a storm and a really good Southern accent. That would be hilarious. Stuff where you have to go from, Atlanta or GTA style Atlanta to the South, like Decatur, Decatur, Savannah, GTA South Savannah, Georgia, whatever like that. It would be hilarious. There's so much for. I mean, I'm gonna say it. You could have a GTA version of Tyler Perry. Do it. You can.
Yeah.
You can. It would be hilarious.
I was gonna say that, or Louisiana is a good example too, because of just that whole Cajun environment.
Yeah, get that Nolans. And not to mention you could bring in additional enemies or whatever, like gators.
Yeah, I was gonna say the swamp would be a big appeal.
Yeah, that would be totally different. You have your city, and then you have your swamp. But yeah, anything in the South, or you could just do kind of a span, like kind of an amalgamation of all that.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of Austin, a little bit of Nolans, a little bit of Atlanta. And you drive through an empty area called Mississippi or Alabama, an analog of that.
Dude,
sorry for people who are from Mississippi and Alabama, but
that
those parts.
Soundtrack would be awesome. I mean, you have Outkast, you have Scarface, you have Ludacris, you got Nappy Roots,
Garth Brooks,
Ray Charles, like. That soundtrack would be crazy. Like, no disrespect, but crazy. Like, as you're like doing a car chase and you hear the song Georgia, Georgia.
No, that would be used in the promotion, the marketing promotion. Yeah. It wouldn't even have to say the Georgia part, just the tune, the instrumental, as someone's just speeding around a corner getting chased.
Mm-hmm.
So I could definitely see that, and it would be an interesting. It would be a swerve. I mean, the rumor is strongly leaning towards returning to Miami or Vice City, but I think that would be a fun swerve.
I think that would be a good one too. Just the fact if they can do the half city, half swampy, because part of me wants to feed somebody to gators. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And if you're going to do this, like the three protagonists, if they're going to do that again, it'd be funny. You get like a Billy Bob part of that.
Yeah. I mean, you can have fun with that. And not to mention, just really down home, Sons of the Soil, kind of not. I mean, and if you're going to do that, you're going to, whether people like it or not, you're going to have some jokes, some jabs that like, the old stars and bars Confederate flag kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have fun at that.
Yes, I got to get the guy in the all white suit with the white beard.
The Colonel.
Yes, you gotta get the Colonel in there somehow. I don't, you know.
He's always fanning.
Lordy, I'll get in the vapors. You know, you gotta.
It's like you know you got your place got like a air conditioner, right? It's like no, we got swamp coolers and they broke it down.
Yeah, right. You gotta have that foghorn leghorn guy. I say. Pay attention, me boy, when I'm talking to you.
Not to mention, like part of GTA is in the world building is not only the characters, but TV shows, radio shows.
Yeah.
You have Laszlo's cousin that's like real Southern hick. Have all these. You have all these potentials for just jabbing and world building and jokes, and that's the thing. You take an idea and you just crank it to 11. GTA 5, one of my favorite bits are when they're talking about all the TV shows like Impotent Rage and he's like, or the commercials like Pisswasser beer, the country songs and everything like that, or the Maibatsu, it gets raging 7 miles to the gallon, so it's. That's where you kind of hammer home we're obviously making fun of you and you and you and you.
Right. So my last pick, I actually thought about that until you brought it up, but a female protagonist would be pretty cool because it'd be the first time they have a woman introduced at the beginning. And I'm like, that'd be kind of cool to see a tough girl. And I thought also too, one thing about GTA, they really like picking sunny places. Bright sunny places and whatnot, and really there's no really a giant climate change for that. Another thing too is they don't really care about weather control. I want to say, does it rain a lot in GTA games?
Yeah, GTA 4, it was not a sunny place. It was very drab, it was very concrete jungle.
Okay, what about snow?
Snow only in certain storyline sections, in GTA 5. But if you're talking about rain, yeah, rain happens, fog happens.
Okay, so I want to base on a snowy city. That'd be kind of cool to have just a climate within the mountains. So you have this city surrounded by mountains. So it'd be kind of cool, you can do hikings and all this kind of stuff. And I would like to have the girl do it because I was looking up Denver. And I was looking up nicknames I was doing nicknames of cities because I think that's kind of how GTA, I think they come up with their ideas. What is the nicknames for these cities? And let's work on that. And one of the nicknames for Denver is called Queen City. And I was like, well, that could work. So you can do Queen City and it can be based on Denver and you have a female protagonist for that. And I think it's just kind of cool just to, be in a city that's snowing and you're waking up to seeing mountains like that. That'd be kind of cool to see, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you have to have John Denver on the south.
Yeah, and just kind of have icy streets, just kind of get that kind of feel. I think that would be kind of cool in that way.
You'd have to be. I agree. They'd have to be careful that it doesn't make the player feel like too much control is out of their hands when they're driving.
Yeah,
because part of the appeal of GTA is getting in the car and just drive it however you want. So if you're adding ice to that,
well, certain parts. I'm not asking all the streets are icy. Just when there's snow, there's going to be ice. So just certain parts.
And if you get up in the mountains, the road less travel. Yeah, or until you get upgrades for your tires, like chains.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and there's
I can see that.
And there's so many interesting stories that I hear from people that go to Colorado, that people I work with, and I think that'd be kind of cool. There's a party place up in the mountains you can go. There's this town that's just super quiet. It's surrounded by it's almost in a crater kind of feel.
Yes.
Yeah,
you could have an 80s style ski lot. Those movies that came out.
Yes.
Ski Party and you have the Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. You have missions that deal with the stuff like that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Hell yeah, the 80s ski trip. So yeah, you go skiing, snowboarding, that would be awesome just to see what they can do with that. Sledding, you can do street sledding if you want to. There's so many things you can do in the mountain, in the snow kind of aspect of that. And I think it'd just be a kind of just a welcome to just a new way. Now, I think Red Dead Redemption has different times in the year of that game where you go up in the snowy mountains, you go.
Oh yeah, and they did, and Rockstar captured snow and how you trudge through snow and your horse trudge. They captured that beautifully.
And I would love to see that as a city. That'd be kind of just cool. And I guess I'm trying to imagine how just looking at a city that's always snowing, snow is on the ground, people wearing, coats and everything like that. I think that'd be just kind of welcome to a new, just something different and a change instead of just like, here's another town that looks like New York and LA and Miami. Let's like really change it up and then take a chance of a female protagonist doing that.
I mean, you could have a little bit of both because certain parts of like you can have an amalgamation of Denver, Colorado Springs, Manitou Springs, and the mountains. So you have cities and stuff or parts of towns that are in the mountains. It's more snowy, it's more constantly cold or chilly. But then you go further to the east, and it's a little warmer, or at least a little bit more temperate.
Yeah.
And you still get some snow sometimes, but you're not seeing people always bundled up.
That's true. Yeah.
So
basically, it could be half Denver, half Colorado Springs. So.
Yeah, I'll put it this way: the time I spent in Colorado Springs, there was you get there and it's nice and sunny, and there's whatever, and then like this overnight, woof, a bunch of snow comes down, and everything changes, and people are bundled up, and it's like night and day. I mean, I witnessed it. It was sunny, not a speck of snow on the ground, and then overnight, snow everywhere, and then the next day, it's almost all gone.
And definitely, marijuana is a big thing up there too. So there's something they can do with like with weed farms or something like that to be more, just some fun ideas they can do with that, with how drugs work up in up in Denver and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, and obviously there's making fun of people. There's so many people. You can have the marijuana tourists. You could have the politicians. You can make fun of any and everybody in Colorado.
I just thought of this. I think it'd be interesting to see how a car chase, like when cops are chasing after you, how would that be just driving? Like, it'd be kind of cool if like cops are just not good drivers because of like they you know what I mean? Like with the snow and all the weather and all that kind of stuff. It'd be interesting how they would do that. That would be kind of cool how they would adapt to that.
I will say with, stuff that happened last year and everything that's going on this year, I know a lot of game company developers are taking a step back and reevaluating how they write, like if it's a main part of a story, how they write cops and law enforcement. I've been reading how, a lot of them are reevaluating because of how everything's going. So that would also be an interesting way for them to kind of poke fun. There's a lot of areas for it to go, but I would love nothing more than to have a car chase to where I happen to make this corner a little bit better than the cops because I upgraded my car and the tires and the handling, and they kind of slide and hit another car.
Yeah.
Or if you're in the mountains, you make that corner just right, they slide and fall off.
Yes, so. Yes, because I know a lot of people. When you play Grand Theft Auto games, you do want to test the limit of like, how far can I push the limit of the game? So I know someone's going to try to drive a car up in the mountains and then try to drive it off a cliff and see what the reaction is going to be of you tipping over and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
base jump off the cliff or drive off the cliff and then while still in midair, hop out of the car and then parachute.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just wait till that goes out on PC. People are going to do all sorts of crazy stuff.
And then, of course, like, with all these games, the weapon lineup is going to be interesting. Like, from the Snowy City using shovels and all that kind of stuff to the Atlanta and what special things they could do there and to 70s and what they could do. So there's so many varieties they can go with this. So, but out of all of this, I hope 6 just throws a surprise. I know the game's going to look magnificent, but I want to see I want to be caught sideways. Like, didn't see them go this way. So either any of these picks will be great. I hope they do something further differently. to see what they do with it. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, there's so many options. Hell, if they, like you say, if they want to go international, I mean, they can do something based on Brazil. They can do something based on Italy. There's different areas they base off or make it Americanized for that. You know,
certain things are universal no matter what country you're in. Crime, fast cars, you know, men and women the nightlife, the party life. This fits in with crime, but drugs and, you know, law enforcement and the general idiocy of local politicians. Yeah. So you can make fun of all of that. My last one, it'll probably be a little bit shorter, but it's similar to Futuristic City, like next 70 or 100 years.
Okay.
But you kind of made mention of it. I was like, ooh, yeah, let's go with that. Kind of like Demolition Man, like your protagonist is a Simon Phoenix style. You know, it's like you're the outlier. You're in this more idyllic utopia, and you're bringing the bad times back. Yeah. You know, people don't know how to deal with you as well. They're like, stop! What are you doing? I'm sorry, sir. What seems to be your boggle? Yeah. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe I just want a Demolition Man.
No, it can be work because also too you can have an underground group.
Yes.
That he joins because they're afraid they're causing violence, but secretly. But now they have a person that can lead the way. You can start working your way up and doing all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is that some people glossed over was in the movie Demolition Man, that wasn't how the whole world or the whole country was. That was just that particular. It was kind of lampooning how the drastic change in California or certain parts of Southern California. It was how they dealt with all the stuff they went through. So you could have a city or a section that's like that, and then you have underground, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And then you have, you know, something that's kind of in between, you know.
Yeah. The only thing would be interesting would be the most interesting to see what would happen to 5 stars, right? With each star, like what would come at you, like because it's kind of futuristic. Like what would they have to come after you with? You got droids, like those hover droids coming after you. You know, I think that's the surprise factor there. And then trying to figure out what do you do for fun, non-violently.
I know what do you do,
right? Anything you do, you're stealing it. Like I want to go fly a plane. Well, I'm going to steal a plane to do it. So
yeah, it's like I mean. I don't think you could. I think you have to watch out. You don't want to be as restrictive as like the Demolition Man type world. You still want to have skydiving. You still want to have like sports, but you want to have you still want to have like a, I don't know, maybe a not super docile, but a more docile the masses. They're made docile by having almost everything they could want. And so because of that, they're like, you know, whatever. I don't know. So
it reminds me of that one arcade game that came out many years ago, and you end up going into the future where you cause violence and stuff. I think the town was based on violence. I forgot what it's called. It was basically making fun of all like the retro kind of games like that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But that kind of reminded me of what you were kind of I think it was called Retro City Rampage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Retro City Rampage.
Yeah, that kind of, because he takes the time machine, he goes in the future, and I think it's not like so crimey, and so he goes crimey, I think.
Yeah, it's like it was trying to be like it's a mixture of GTA and Back to the Future and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes me think of Demolition Man. So, yeah.
I could see that, but then people would say Rockstar's biting that style.
Or do it better.
Yeah, well, I will say this: one, you're never going to out GTA, and two, Rockstar whenever they put something out, they definitely put their own twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't say that they're copying from someone.
Right.
They just basically go Black Mirror on us every time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, this is really a reflection of yourself, but just turned up to 11.
Yeah, it's almost a South Park thing. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But with that, it's time to wrap up our episode. I want to thank everybody for listening to this exciting episode that is the Grand Theft Auto as part of the In-Game Boss podcast. Write in your comment box or leave a comment on Podbean or wherever you listen to. Leave a comment and tell us what city, what place do you want to see the next setting that is GTA 6, you know? Tell us what you think of our choices. Do you like those ideas? Do you think they're bad ideas? We would love to hear all that kind of stuff. And I can't wait. I can't wait because it's a showcase when a new GTA comes out. It sets the bar for other developers like, all right, so that's what we got to accomplish. We got to accomplish a world like that now, huh? All right. Thanks. Yep. Thanks, Rockstar. All right.
It moves consoles.
It does, and it keeps other developers away from them. When a Rockstar game comes out, you stay away from them. You move stuff around.
You don't release on that weekend.
Yep. You stay away from them. Maybe a month in advance. Like, you know what? We're going to bump it up or we're going a month after. You know? Yep. And maybe not in the holidays because they get the holidays. So if you got a game, you might want to push it up to next year or push it up that summer. You know, let them own the fall. It's Call of Duty and Rockstar when it comes to that. And
Madden. Yeah.
So,
yep.
But as we mentioned before, remember, we are on Facebook and Twitter, so definitely check us out there. And we have a link tree, so you can link us there. You can go to our Twitter, go to our link tree, and find all those places that we mentioned way earlier to those links. But if you want to find me personally, I am RetroAmp07 on Twitter.
And you can find me on Twitter as TheGrumpyBear84. Give me a shout out. Nuanced discussions only.
And thank you for enjoying this level, and we will catch you next time. Stage clear. Let's go.
5 stars, new high score.